All right. Greetings to each one of us, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all say Willkommen to each and every one of us, even as we get to start. Now, this is the Fred speaking to us, and it is my belief that after today's lesson, you will be in a very good position to use Sein and even Haben. Once again, I say Willkommen to each one of you, and it will be unfair if I begin without commending and appreciating each and every one of us who've always interacted with our content, supporting us all through and through. I want to thank you, and I believe that we shall continue to provide for you content that would help you even as you proceed in the journey of learning language, right? Now, even as you get to tune in, I would like to find out which level of German are you currently in, right? I know that those of us in the A1, but those of us in the A2, B1, B2, C1, or even C2, also feel free to share how you've found the journey so far. Now, the aim of today's lesson is to help us with these two commonly misunderstood verbs. That is the sein and haben. I want us to see how will you be expected to use the verbs sein and even haben. All right. So let's go ahead and see how I will be expected to use sein and haben. So we shall begin with the first one. Go ahead and tackle sein. Now, first of all, what is the meaning of the verb sein and how do you conjugate it? Let's go ahead. Now, this sein means to be. Sein normally means to be. All right, this one means to be. And normally it tends to be one of the irregular verbs. Many people normally confuse these irregular verbs with the regular verbs. Now, this sein falls in the category of the irregular verbs. So if I conjugate it, you'll have something as follows. So let's have it in the present tense. Let's see it in the present tense. Let's also see how it appears in the past tense, and then we'll see it in the perfect tense. All right. So, as I've begun by saying that it is one of the irregular verbs, and so when conjugating it, it tends to look different from the original verb. So, sein in present tense under ich, you would say ich bin. All right. Ich bin, which now means I am. Ich bin, I am. All right. Now, this ich bin, in the past, it would become ich war. Look at that. So, ich bin, I am. Ich war, I was. And then in the perfect tense, you would now say something like this. Ich bin gewesen. Ich bin gewesen. Look at that. So, ich bin, I am. Ich war, I was. And then, ich bin gewesen. This now means I have been. I am, I was, I have been. Now, how about in the do form? So in do, I would say do bist. Look at that. Do bist, which is now you are. Now, do in the do form past tense, you would now say do warst. You are. All right. So du bist, you are. Du warst, you are. And then in the perfect now becomes du bist gewesen. Now this means you have been. You have been. Now remember we said ich bin, I am, ich war, I was, and then ich bin gewesen. This is I have been. So in the do form, du bist, you are, du warst, you were, and then du bist gewesen. This is now you have been. All right. Now, how about in the RZS? Let's see. How about in the RZS? So in RZS, it now becomes ist. In the RZS, now it will become ist. All right. Now, under RZS in the past, now we say RZS war. Look at that. RZS war. So present, er, sie, es ist. He, she, it is. In the past, er, sie, es war. Now, he, she, it was. And then in the perfect, now we say er, sie, es. So that is er, sie, es. Now, for this er, sie, es, I simply mean he, she, it, right? Er, sie, es. He, she, it. So er, sie, es ist gewesen. Er, sie, es ist gewesen. He, she, it has been. I would recommend as you copy them down, please write the meanings in bracket for revision later on, yeah? So er, sie, es ist, he, she, it is. Er, sie, es war. This is now he, she, it was. And then er, sie, es ist gewesen. This is now he, she, it has been. He, she, it has been. All right. All right. Now let's now see in the Z for capital, the one in the formal Z. Now remember, this Z is always going to be written in capital. All right. Z, which means you. Now in the Z, you would say Sie sind. Sie sind. This means you are. Sie sind. You are. All right. So Sie sind in the past becomes Sie waren. You are. So Sie sind. You are. Sie waren. You are. And then in the perfect now becomes Sie sind gewesen. Now, one thing that is coming out to be true in the perfect, you see all through they have gewesen, 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 throughout gewesen. Remember, the gewesen means been. All right? So, sie sind, you are, sie waren, you were, and then sie sind gewesen. This is now you have been. You have been, right? Okay, let's see the few remaining. Then you have wir. Now, wir is we, right? Wir, we. So I would say wir sind. This is now we are. Wir sind, we are. And then in the past becomes wir waren. We were. Wir sind, we are. Wir waren, we were. All right? Now in the perfect becomes wir sind gewesen. Wir sind gewesen. We have been. All right? All right then. And then I think I would give you two more. Let's know ear. Now you remember that ear is the plural of do, right? Normally singular is do. The plural of do is normally ear. So under ear, I would say ear seid, right? Ear seid, present. In the past now becomes ear wart. Look at that. Ear wart. And then in the perfect, now would become ihr seid gewesen. Ihr seid gewesen. You have been. All right? And then the last one I have to give us is they. Small s-i-e. They. So they, sie, would become sie sind. They are. Now, as we said in the beginning, try to put their meanings in bracket to remember them better on, yeah? So, sie sind, they are. Now, in the perfect, in the past becomes sie waren, they were. And then in the perfect now becomes sie sind gewesen, right? They have been. They have been. Hello to you, to Michael. Willkommen. All right. Michael, willkommen, yeah? So, as you can now see, this is how the verb sein appears in present, in past, and in perfect, right? Let's just go quickly through them before we see haben, yeah? So, present, ich bin. Now, this ich bin is I am. Ich bin, this is I am. And then Ich war, I was. Ich bin gewesen. This is I have been, right? Then you have du bist, you are, du bist, and then du warst, you are. Du bist gewesen. This is you have been. Du bist gewesen, you have been. Then I have er, sie, es, ist. This is he, she, it, is. He, she, it, is. And then past, er, sie, es, war. This is now he, she, it, was. And then in the perfect, er, sie, es, ist gewesen. Now, he, she, it, has been. All right? Now we have sie sind, you are. Sie sind is you are, big past. Sie waren, you were. And then sie sind gewesen, you have been. Then wir sind, we are. Wir waren, we were. Then wir sind gewesen, we have been. Okay. Ihr seid, you are. This is plural of do. Do singular, plural ihr. Ihr seid, you are. Ihr wart, you were. Then ihr seid gewesen, you have been. Lastly, sie sind, they are. Sie waren, they were. And then sie sind gewesen, they have been. All right. So that is how we conjugate the verb sein. Okay. Now, how about haben? How about haben? How do you conjugate the verb haben? Let's now go ahead and see. Guys, I would like you to also comment below. Which level are you currently in? Are you in your A1? Are you in A2? Are you in B1? Feel free to share below which level you're currently in. I would like to know the level you're currently in. So let's go ahead and see this number 2. Now, I want us to see the other verb, which is haben. So how does haben look like, or how do we conjugate it? Haben. Now remember, this haben is simply to have. Haben is to have. Now this is also one of the irregular verbs, right? Haben is also amongst the irregular verbs. Same category with the sein, which is also irregular verb, right? We mentioned in the beginning that sein, to be, is an irregular verb. Haben also falls in that category. So now in this one also, let's see it. How do you conjugate it in the present? How does it appear in present? How does it appear in the past? And then we also see it how it appears in the perfect. All right. So let's go ahead and see in the present, in the past, and also in the perfect. So let's go ahead. Under ich, you would say ich habe, right? Ich habe, this is present. I have. Ich habe, right? Now, in the past, now it changes and looks something like this. Ich hatte. Look at that. Hatte. Ich habe. I have. Ich hatte. I had. All right, in the past. And then in the perfect, now it becomes ich habe gehabt. Ich habe gehabt. I have had. Ich habe, ich hatte, ich habe gehabt. I have had. Right? And then in the do form, now we say du hast. Du hast, you have. Right? Du hast. In the perfect now, in the past becomes du hattest. Now we always recommend be careful with the endings, yeah? Be careful with the endings. So, ich habe, ich hatte, ich habe gehabt. Du hast, you have. Du hattest, you had. Right? And then in the perfect, you have had. Du hast gehabt. Du hast gehabt. You have had. All right. Okay, let's go ahead. How about under er, sie, es? So under er, sie, and es. Now we said this er, sie, es simply means he, she, it, right? He, she, it, er, sie, es. Now you realize that there is a way the er, sie, es almost looks like the der, die, das, right? Er, der, sie, die, das, es, because they refer to the same genders, right? So er, sie, es, you would now say hat, er, sie, es, hat, and then in the past would become er, sie, es, hatte, er, sie, es, hatte, he, she, it, had, and then in the perfect would now say er, sie, es, hat, gehabt. Er, sie, es, hat, gehabt. Now, one common thing that is coming through in the perfect is we use throughout gehabt, 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 right? I have had, you have had, he, she, it has had, in that manner, right? All right, let's go ahead. Now, in sie, this sie we say should always be capital, yeah? So, sie haben, you have, sie haben, in the past, sie hatten, you had, sie hatten, you had, and then in the perfect now becomes sie haben gehabt, sie haben gehabt, you have had. All right, Gora, hi to you too, willkommen. All right, so you can now see how they are. Ich habe, ich hatte, ich habe gehabt. I have, I had, I have had, right? Sie haben, you have. Sie hatten, you had. Then, sie haben gehabt, you have had. Okay? All right, let's now cross over to the plural side. Now, under wir, you would say wir haben, right? Wir haben, hello to each one of you who are just tuning in, willkommen. Wir haben, and then wir hatten. Look at that. So, wir haben, we have, and then wir hatten, we had. Okay. Now, in the perfect, we'd say wir haben gehabt. Wir haben gehabt. So, wir haben, we have. Wir hatten, we had. Wir haben gehabt, we have had. Okay, let's see 3 more, and then we could take some sentence examples, right? Right, now this other one says like this. Yeah, the plural of do, which is eher. This is not her. Do, singular. The plural of do is normally eher. All right. So under eher we say ihr habt, and then in the past ihr hattet, you had, and then in the perfect ihr habt gehabt, ihr habt gehabt. All right. Okay, let's see the last one. They, which is small s-i-e, they, sie haben, they have, sie haben, they have. So that in the past now becomes sie hatten, they had, sie hatten, they had. All right. And then now in the perfect now becomes sie haben gehabt. Sie haben gehabt. So you are saying one thing is common in the perfect all through when using haben is gehabt, 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 right? Had. But for sein in the perfect was gewesen, gewesen, throughout gewesen. Do you see the difference? So that is how this verb haben appears in present, in past, and in perfect. I believe you've captured the meanings, right? So I want us now to see some sentence examples, right? I would like us to attempt them in sentence examples because for those of you who are to do the exams, you know, especially in the introduction part, right? You will either be using this haben or even design. So let's have a look at this question. Better like this, but write in German. Write in German in the example. I was sick. I was sick. Now becomes ich war krank. I was sick. Ich war krank. Now, how about to say, my father had a car? How would you say that? My father had a car. Now, I want us to take that as an example. My father, remember it's in the past. So, my father had a car. Now, feel free to also attempt in the comment section. My father had a car. Now, even before we proceed, you have to confirm father is under which category. You can see father falls under the as s, right? A he. So if we check in the category of as s right here, in the past, had now becomes hatte. Mein Vater hatte. So my answer should be, my father had a car. My answer would now become, mein Vater, right? Mein Vater, and then had, which is now hatte, okay? Mein Vater hatte a car, which is ein Auto. Mein Vater hatte ein Auto. My father had a car. All right. So you're saying you conjugate depending on the subject provided in that sentence. Okay, I want to give another example. Now, this has been done for us. I have been at home. I have been at home, which now becomes ich bin zu Hause gewesen. I have been at home. So I want to take this example. Let's jump to number 5. I am a student and he was my friend. How would you say in present tense, I am a student? Look at this number here. I am a student. How would you say I am a student? And then the next number we've been given is he was my friend. He was my friend. That is the second one. And then we would also use we had a car. Let's also take we had a car. We had a car. We had a car. And then the last example is we have had an exam. We have had an exam. So let's take these ones and attempt. We have had an exam. So the first one, I am a student. I am a student. If we check on our list of conjugation, we said the verb to be, right? So if we conjugate under ich is ich bin. So I am a student. Now that becomes I am a student. Now I would say ich. There's someone who scored it. Let me see the answer. Oh, Liz. Liz gives the following answer. Ich bin Student. Now, Liz, you just correct the student to become Studentin, right? So, for example, if it's a lady saying it, you would say Ich bin Studentin. Now, this is if it's a lady, right? Studentin. And then if it's a male, we would just say Ich bin Student, right? So ich bin Studentin if it's a female, and then ich bin Student if it's a male. All right? Wunderbar, bitteschön. And then how about he was my friend? He was my friend. Now we need to check our table. He was my friend. Now remember the verb to be, which was sein, yeah? He was. So we said present as ist, and then past. Now we use war. Now I can see someone has also scored it. That is Rajesh. Rajesh says, er war mein. Now this was given by Rajesh. Let's check it out. You said, er war mein. Er war mein. Now here again, it will change depending if I mention a male or a female friend, right? So that if I say a male friend, you would say, er war mein Freund. Rajesh, very good, right? And then if you now refer to a female friend, you would now change even the ending here. So that you say, meine with an ending E, meine, right? And then Freundin, etc., right? So male, er war mein Freund if it was a male friend, and then er war meine Freundin if it's a female friend. Sehr gut, Rajesh, that was nicely done. Now, how about take this other one? We had a car. We had a car, right? We had a car. Now, again, I would need to check this one here, right? Now, haben, just a moment, something is interfering with my screen. I'm not sure if my screen is visible. All right, just a moment. Okay, ein Moment. Oh, sorry. Yeah. We had a car. We had a car. Now, if I check on my conjugation, right, haben, in the as S form, right, in the as S form, hat, and then hatte, right, etc. So, we had a car. Now we're using the wir form. So I now say, wer, I think I made a mistake somewhere. All right, I was referred to wir, right? Wir haben, and then wir hatten. I see an attempt from your side, Liz. Very active, very, very wunderbar. So, wir hatten, right? Wir hatten ein Auto. Wir hatten ein Auto. We had a car. And then lastly, we have had. Now this is in the perfect. We have had an exam. We have had an exam. Let's remind ourselves. Remember wir. It present is. Oh, someone has scored it. Let me see how Rajesh has said it. Rajesh says, wir haben eine Prüfung gehabt. Wunderbar. Let's just give a round of applause. Rajesh, that was said. The answer you've given us is wir, and then haben, right? Wir haben, and then you said ein Auto. Wir haben ein Auto, sorry, eine Prüfung gehabt. Wir haben eine Prüfung, right? Now you could use Prüfung or Examen, right? Wir haben eine Prüfung, and then at the end, now we have gehabt. Wir haben eine Prüfung gehabt. We have had an exam, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe you've now seen how you can use the haben or even sein in the present, in the past, and in the perfect. Yeah, I'm going to post this video. If in case there's a part you might have skipped, I would recommend get to replay so that you'll be able to capture them all right? Now, as I mentioned also in the previous video, I'm having this booklet here, the ebook. Those of us who are asking about it, one can go ahead and purchase it, right? I've given the breakdown and more examples in the booklet. You see in the present, in the past, in the perfect, whether it's Sein, whether it's Haben, all right? I'm going to put a link to it if in case you might be interested in it. But this is only for A1, right? This will be for those of us who are to do their A1 as well, all right? So, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of today's live. This was your friend speaking to us. Tschüss, and I will see us in the next one. Tschüss.